Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, we went to a place called Jefferson's. Now, I know Jefferson's is a chain. They have a few different locations in the Middle Tennessee area. I believe they have one in northern Alabama. I'm not sure where else. I mean, I know it's not like a national chain or anything, but they're known for their wings and oysters, and everything we've ever had there has been really good. We started out with their fried pickles, so yummy, and then I got their grilled chicken bacon ranch wrap. I get that a lot. It's really good, with curly fries. And then Gary got their wings. He got their medium buffalo and then garlic parmesan. Now, a lot of places, their garlic parmesan wings, I can kind of take them or leave them, but Jefferson's are delicious. They are so yummy. And then his wings also came with chips and salsa. We took the chips and salsa and then about half of the wings home and had that for lunch the next day. And yeah, that was what we had at Jefferson's. So good. The next day was Sunday, and so for Sunday dinner, we did red beans and rice. Now, I had a recipe pinned that I was going to use, but I forgot to soak the beans overnight, and I remembered that I'd seen recently Mississippi Queen on Instagram share her red beans and rice recipe, so I ended up using her recipe. I'll link that down in the description box below for you. So in this pot, I have some oil heating up. This is on about medium-high heat. I am going to use this chicken andouille sausage. I got this from Target, but you could use smoked sausage, any kind of sausage that you want. And all we're going to do is brown that. So just a couple minutes, give it a stir every now and then. Once the sausage is brown, we're going to add in our veggies. I've got some diced onion, and then I know usually you would add green bell pepper, but I had red and yellow on hand, so I'm going to use what I've got on hand. Going to give that a stir, and then if you've been with me for a while, you know I detest celery, but I've been trying to incorporate it into some things. I thought maybe I could slide it into this without me noticing it, so I cut the celery up super little. I'm going to give that a stir and cook that for 3 to 5 minutes until the vegetables get tender. Next, I'm going to add in some minced garlic. Give that another stir, cook that for maybe 30 seconds or a minute or so. Now I'm going to add in my red kidney beans, and I think this is called camellia. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've seen a lot of people from Louisiana use this. I found it just at Walmart. I did rinse my beans. I'm going to add them to the pot, give it a little stir. Next, I'm going to add in the chicken broth. In this case, I'm just using water and bouillon, and then also adding some water. Now for the seasonings, I'm adding in a bay leaf, and then I've got some garlic powder, onion powder, slap your mama, salt, and pepper. And you just want to season this to taste. And a couple quick notes before I forget. First, I halved Mississippi Queen's recipe. And then second of all, I ended up probably at least doubling the amount of liquids, through the cooking process. So definitely make sure you have extra water, extra stock on hand. Instead of chicken stock, you could totally use vegetable stock. Now, we are going to bring that up to a boil, and you want to hard boil this for about an hour. After an hour, you're going to reduce the heat and simmer these for maybe about 3 hours or so until the beans are tender. And you do want to make sure, especially while you're hard boiling the beans, that you are checking them pretty frequently. I would say during the hard boil, I check mine every 15 minutes. After I reduce the heat, I checked it probably every 30 minutes or so because you may need to add more liquid. But just cook them until the beans are tender. You can add a little bit more liquid if you want them a little soupier, but I like them pretty thick like this. In this little pot, I've got some doctored up canned turnip greens. These are what I started with. I added a little salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, slap your mama, and just a tiny pinch of brown sugar. And I just warmed them like on medium heat until they were hot. Most of the liquid was evaporated. Here I've got some cornbread. I had a box of Jiffy cornbread mix. This is the honey cornbread. I just made it according to the package instructions. And then I cooked up some white rice in my rice cooker. And here are the plates. So we've got some of the red beans over rice, the turnip greens, the cornbread, and then I did garnish the red beans and rice with a little bit of parsley, and everything was so good. Such a comforting meal. Dinner the next night was not on my original meal plan. Sunday night, I was catching up on some YouTube videos, and Taylor Elmore made some Smashburgers, and they just looked so good. And I was like, switching the meal plan, we're going to do Smashburgers tomorrow. So I did like copycat In-N-Out style, kind of my own twist to it. But I'm going to start out by making this sauce. I have shared this before on my channel. I've combined a couple different recipes, so I will write out the measurements that I use in the description box below for you. Here are the ingredients. I've got some ketchup, sugar, salt and pepper, mayonnaise, apple cider vinegar, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, sweet relish, and yellow mustard. So all I did was mix everything together, gave it a really good whisk, and you do want to let this refrigerate for at least a couple hours before you serve it. That really helps all the flavors come together. I have been to In-N-Out before a couple times, but it's been years, and I don't remember like exactly how spot on the sauce and everything are, but it is delicious. Now, we used to have a kind of copycat In-N-Out burger restaurant here in the Nashville area. They call themselves like West Coast Burgers, and they would do grilled onions with the sauce on their burgers. So that's what I did, just chopped up some onions and cooked them low and slow in a skillet until they got nice and brown. And then here I just took some hamburger meat, divided it into balls, and then I'm going to use this Steak and Shake seasoning. You can of course season these up however you'd like. I buttered some sesame seed hamburger buns, and then I toasted them up in my cast iron skillet on about medium heat. I cranked the heat up to about medium high, and then added a tiny little bit of oil. I'm going to add the hamburger patties or little balls, and then I let them sit for a minute or two and didn't touch them. I'm going to sprinkle the tops with some more seasoning, and then I'm going to take just a heavy metal spatula and smash the burger patties. Now, that's kind of why the name is Smashburgers. You smash the daylights out of them. And usually when you make hamburgers, you don't want to press them. But here we're really wanting to make super thin patties that get really nice and crispy. So once they were there, I added a slice of American cheese to one of the patties and added another one on top for me. I just wanted one slice of cheese. Now, for the side, that same restaurant that I was mentioning earlier kind of does their own copycat In-N-Out animal style fries. They take like these fast food fries from Ore-Ida is what I'm going to use, but they use similar fries, and then they cook them up. They top them with sliced American cheese, some of that sauce we made, some of the grilled onions, some cooked bacon. They also do pickled jalapenos, but I'll leave the jalapenos off. So I just baked up the fries according to the package instructions, added some cheese, popped it back into the oven to let that cheese melt, and then added the sauce, the onions, the bacon. Here are the toppings I've got for our fries and hamburgers. I've got some ketchup, sliced pickles, mustard. We have the sauce and caramelized onions. I had some bacon in my fridge that needed to be used up, so I went ahead and cooked that. I've got some sliced tomatoes, lettuce, and then chopped bacon for the fries. All right, here are the burgers, and I did 3 of the thin patties for Gary's and just added the ketchup, mustard, pickles, the sauce, the grilled onions, the bacon, lettuce, tomato to our sandwiches. And then we've got those loaded fries like I told you, and y'all, there's nothing healthy about this at all, but these were delicious. So good. And those Smashburgers were just dripping with juice and cheese. Oh, so good. For dinner the next night, we had spaghetti. I filmed this separately as part of an upcoming Christmas video, so keep an eye out for that if you'd like to see how I made this. For dinner the next night, I made slow cooker kielbasa with sauerkraut and apples. Now, I don't follow a recipe for this. My mother-in-law taught me how to make it, and she just used how many ever ingredients or how much of each ingredient she needed to use based on how many people she was feeding. So you can totally double, triple this recipe, whatever you need. So we're going to start out with some kielbasa. I'm using turkey. You want to cut these in fairly large chunks. I like to layer this in the crock pot when I'm using a tall crock pot like this. If you're using a larger one, you can just kind of do it all in one layer. But I'm going to add some sauerkraut. Use whatever kind or brand you like. You just want to try to drain as much liquid off of it as you can. So once I've added the sauerkraut on top of the kielbasa, I'm going to add some thinly sliced apples. And then my mother-in-law didn't do this, but I like to add in just a little bit of brown sugar. Not a lot, like maybe a tablespoon. Now I'm going to add in some apple juice. You can also use apple cider. That's really delicious in that. And then I'm just going to repeat that layer. So more kielbasa, more kraut, more apples, brown sugar, and juice. And then that's it. I'm going to cover this with a lid, and I cooked this on high for about 4 hours, or you can cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. You just want to cook it until the apples are tender and the sausage is warmed all the way through. I do like to go in about halfway through and give it a stir. And yeah, this is what it looked like when it was done. Now, to go along with this, she always would serve this Engelhofer sweet hot mustard with it. So that's what I've got. And then I read somewhere last time I made this, I think somebody said that they like to serve this over mashed potatoes. And so I got these just, ready-made potatoes from the grocery store, cooked them according to the package instructions. I did doctor them up though with a little bit of milk, butter, salt, and pepper. Then with the spaghetti dinner the night before, I had leftover dressing that I made and the ingredients for the salad. So I just kind of remade the salad. So here I've got some spring mix, pomegranate seeds, some feta, and some honey roasted pecans. And then this is a maple balsamic vinaigrette. So I'm just going to toss all that together. Here is my plate. Gary ate later than I did. So we've got some of the kielbasa, the sauerkraut apples with some of that mustard, the mashed potatoes, and then the salad. And I can say I did like this with the mashed potatoes. So I'd definitely serve that with this again. For dinner the next night, I made cheesy ham and potato soup. I did share how I made this in a video that went up a few days ago. It was a Thanksgiving leftovers recipe video. I'll link that down in the description box below for you in case you'd like to see how I made this. The last dinner in this week's video was off of the meal plan, but I had several things in the fridge that desperately needed to be used up, so I figured I would just go off the meal plan and make what would use all that up. Now, I kind of did a riff on a baked spaghetti recipe that I have shared before on my channel from the Cozy Cook. I'll link that down below. Here, I have some of that leftover spaghetti from the other night. I'm going to add it to the saucepan, and then I had about maybe a third of this jar of marinara sauce in the fridge, so I'm going to add that. I had this box of New York breadsticks in my freezer. There were 3 in here, so I'm going to cook that according to the package instructions. Here I had some ground beef. This was just simply cooked up with some salt and pepper. I needed to use it up, so I'm going to add some of it to this, and then I added the rest of it to something else. I can't remember now what I did. But I gave that a stir and allowed that to warm up. And then I'm going to add in the ricotta cheese. As you can see here, I had, I don't know, maybe a third of a cup, half of a cup. So using that up, and then using the rest of this whipped cream cheese as well. I'm going to add in some grated Parmesan cheese, give that a stir, and then once the cheeses are melted, we are going to transfer that to a greased baking dish. I had a block of mozzarella cheese that I needed to use, so I shredded that up, spread the cheese on top, baked this in a preheated oven. It was at 375 degrees for about 20 minutes until it was bubbly and golden brown. Here are those breadsticks. I just brushed them with a little bit of butter once they got done. And yeah, here are the plates. So we've got the spaghetti, the breadsticks, and then kind of with the spaghetti and breadsticks and just raiding the fridge to see what we had. I did the exact same thing for these salads. And yeah, that was dinner this night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video, that you got some dinner ideas from it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.